Welcome to another edition of International Soccer Break, the weekend recap podcast with Rahi domestically here in the US. Myself. I should introduce myself more. I think that's one
You
thing.
should, but also I don't like domestically. That sounds,
Sorry. In the
love
US,
Yeah.
the US, Rahi on the East Coast. I'm
Thank you.
Sahil, the host of this program on the West Coast. Is that better?
Yes, that's better.
Okay. And Bick, live from across the pond, non-domestically.
There's such a European bias on this show. He's the only one that has the live from London. It's like just to show that he's from London.
Yeah, because this is the European show. When we have our boy Roy, who is the MLS American homer, that's the American. This one is more international flavor.
Okay, but so then Roy should be live from Los Angeles. That's what we should say or something.
Yeah, we could do that.
I don't like.
We've got new graphics for you and all that sort of stuff just for you. You know what I mean?
No, I really like it. Yeah, it's the BBC graphics. So
yeah, the BBC. Yeah, we'll have a conversation about that the other time. Okay, what we watched this weekend. Let's get into it, and we're gonna start off with this was some good football.
This was amazing. This is what I want to talk about, but I'm sure all of us would like to talk about this because it was such an advert, as they say, for the game, for the beautiful game, and for any Americans out there who don't understand the value of a draw. This is why the draw continues to exist in soccer, because this was a game where had either team won and City almost ended up winning, it would have felt unfair. And this feels like the perfect result for what was an amazing game. Both teams attacking nonstop. Chelsea looked fantastic. I don't know what's happened, but they look great all of a sudden. I mean, this was a more impressive Chelsea performance than beating Spurs the way they did.
I'm putting the score. I'm putting the score on here for those who didn't, because in case they didn't want to watch, now they will. Look at that.
There you go.
That's
go.
real.
4-4. 4-4. That was, and it was an incredible game. And honestly, it was breathless. End to end, chances on both sides. Chelsea ceding possession, allowing at times Man City to do the thing they do, where they possessed and try and pass you to death. But every time Chelsea countered, they looked dangerous. I mean, it was a fantastic performance from Chelsea, and City looked great as well. I mean, and then it was so nice to see some of the old guys score too. Thiago Silva, I think, became the oldest goal scorer in I don't know how long. He's 39. And Raheem Sterling looked like shades of 7 years ago. I mean, there's days in watching him play, you think how he's the best player in England. I mean, some days he looks unstoppable. And it was in response to Gareth Southgate not taking him for England. So he says, look, by the way, I can still play. And he looked excellent. And then, of course, Haaland getting his 2 goals. The whole thing had so many storylines. It was back and forth. And you can't say that any team deserved to win. Pochettino against Guardiola, 2 great managers. I mean, what else is there to say? I mean, this is why this is the greatest league in the world. This was, what do you think, the game of the season, guys?
Yeah, I just want to say one thing before Bick chimes in. This is the game that Bick took me to in London and made me eat meat pies at Stamford Bridge during Chelsea versus City. So go ahead. I'll cede the floor to you, but I just wanted to say that.
I don't think you could have eaten a meat pie during this game. You wouldn't have had time. I mean, you would have been on your feet the whole time. There was no moment. There was no pie eating moment in this game.
Yeah, right. That one was the Rafa Benitez era, so that was much more time during that.
That was his first match. It was a 0-0 draw. One of the worst games I've ever been to.
That was his specialty. Rafa's specialty, 0-0 draws.
Yeah, exactly. But they got a point there, they got a point here. So what's the difference? I mean, this is a perfect game. I thought what I also liked is I think in one of these high scoring games, you need enough defensive mistakes, and I think this game had that. Like, it had a bit, but it wasn't so bad that it was ridiculous. But yeah, it was just when they talk about the Premier League, this is like you said, this is the best advert for the Premier League because it's fast paced. The mistakes happen because everything's happening so quickly. You had Haaland holding up play on one end, inviting the balls and then distributing it to the attacking players. So yeah, it was just brilliant. One thing that I did want to talk about is Cole Palmer.
Yeah.
So when I saw Chelsea a few weeks ago, he was someone that stood out for me. and I just like Googled him quickly, just looked at his background, and he just seems to have such a presence in the game, and he's still quite young.
I thought you were trying to like up your prowess about your ability to spot talent or something like that. Then you said you Googled him, so that kind of deflated that argument. Yeah.
No, but I saw him doing his thing on the park, and I was like, "Who is this guy?" You know. So then I Googled him and just to do a bit of reading on him.
He was at City, right?
Yeah. Sorry.
City effectively discarded him, right?
Yeah,
they said we don't need you anymore. And
yeah.
to step up in that, I mean, that penalty, that's pressure, right? That's serious pressure in that moment. And his celebration was cool. I thought he did
the shrug. He did a shrug.
Oh, it was good.
Kind of right at City. Hey, you know,
what do I know? He also scored against Spurs last week in a penalty, and that went the other way. So he's I think it's very important for for these young English players to come in, build up their penalty taking ability, before they unceremoniously get knocked out by Italy or Germany or France or any one of them. But yeah, no, I think he looks really good, and yeah, you're right. Thiago Silva. He doesn't look 39. He's very fit for his age. Sterling again, rolling back the years. Yeah, it was brilliant. I mean, I just don't know what else to say. It was a great game and a good result for the league all round. I think with Arsenal and Liverpool winning, the table at the top is still very tight.
Yeah, I'll come back to City after, but Vic, what did you want to talk about? Because I know this is kind of related in that vein. So.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to talk about Wolves and Spurs. It's classic Spurs. They have a run of form. Their fans get really excited, talk about a title challenge, and then they lose one, then they lose another. It didn't look like that for the longest time. I think they did quite well. That first goal was just was really good work down the wing. Brennan, again, talking about young talents. Brennan Johnson looks really good. And then they just Spurs it up in the end. But those two goals by Wolves were just amazing as well. Sarabia's goal was just incredible.
So Sarabia was just what a sub, huh? Like, come on,
And that goal, I mean, he takes it down with his right foot and then with his left foot one time. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah,
that was a phenomenal finish. Anyone who's not seen that out there, you need to watch Sarabia's goal. Just look at the technique on that; it's fantastic.
Yeah, no, that's just incredible. I think goal of the season so far, and I do not think that will be matched or improved on. And then I mean, actually, even the final goal was really good. He got enough of a touch on it to take it over the line. But yeah, I mean, look, I think last week's loss was a freak result against Chelsea. Down to 9 men. This week's loss, you could say it's a bit of a freak result as well because it's a couple of goals in stoppage time. But again, you've got to see these games out if you want to compete for the title. But I do think Postecoglou is a good manager, and he will. He seems like he's got a level head about him. So as long as they don't panic too much, because it's 2 losses on the bounce, but again, you it's a long season. You can recover from this.
I don't know
chances. I mean, it wasn't. Wolves deserved something out of this game. They had enough chances, in my opinion. So I agree with you that they did the Tottenham thing and they let the game slip in the worst way. But it wasn't like Wolves didn't play this game. It wasn't like they didn't have chances. They had chances to equalize throughout the game. In fact, they may have been the better team.
I mean, I think Spurs missed a couple of good chances as well. And actually, you're right. Wolves did create more chances than Spurs. They had more shots on goal than Spurs. Spurs had more of the possession. But I think, look, at the end of the day, when you come to the 90th minute and you're 1-0 up, you've got to see it out if you're competing for the title. Man City can afford to drop points because, they're Man City. But if you're Spurs, Arsenal, Liverpool, you've got to get these results. Just a slight factoid. I saw that someone pointed out that basically I think Spurs beat Sheffield United in the last minute. Sheffield United beat Wolves in the last minute. So them doing the same to Spurs is just karma, isn't it? So who knows?
When's the last time you've been to Wolverhampton, Vic?
Never.
Oh,
it's not on my it's not on my list for the next few months, but at some point I'm sure I'll go.
Just give viewers a quick 30-second where's Wolves? What is Wolverhampton?
So Wolverhampton is probably like an hour and a half up north from London. It's between Birmingham and London. So if this is England, so London somewhere here, up north here is Yorkshire, Manchester's over here, Birmingham somewhere over here. So it's in this area called the Midlands. There's a lot of Indian immigrants there, mostly Sikhs. Moved in the 50s and 60s. It's like your classic working class town. Haven't been there, so I wouldn't really talk too much. But not necessarily like the most glamorous of places.
But the team is very
by the way makes for good. I think makes for good football teams,
right?
Because that means the entire town gets into it.
Would you say very that they wandered there? That the immigrants wandered into Wolverhampton? Would you say that's how they arrived there?
I think some of them flew. I think some of them got their own boats. Who knows? Sorry, I didn't actually make the connection.
Yeah, killed his pun. But okay, no, I do want to talk about. You guys have both said, "Oh, it's a long season," but I want to say this. So City, right, in a game like the game they had this weekend, is able to get a draw, right? Tottenham has dropped points. Liverpool last week, dropping points. Arsenal previously before that dropping points. Again, I think all of this is playing right into City's hands because each of these small drops, which you guys may think, okay, these are just one-off games. Like you said, Wolves dominated a little bit, and Tottenham got unlucky last week down to 9 men. But this stuff matters, especially when you're going up against a juggernaut like City.
Yeah, but I think you're being really easy on City. They blew the game in their own right. I mean, they're up with, into stoppage time and Ruben Diaz with a terrible tackle. No business doing that. That gives the result away. So I think you're being very kind to City to say that they got a result. They very much gave away that result, just as, Tottenham ends up losing, so it's different. And Liverpool draw. So, I think it's important to say that City had this game in their hands and they didn't. And this is not something they would do in the past. So this is a little bit of a different City team. And I think it's going to be closer because you're seeing them drop more points than we're used to seeing them drop.
I disagree, though. And I'll tell you why. Because of the fact that they are the team with the top talent. They're the defending champions, right? So their inability to take advantage of situations such as today, you can say, I think is less important overall than teams like Arsenal, Tottenham, Liverpool, who are trying to make that chase, whether proverbially or actually, into the top of the table against a team like City.
But you're really putting Tottenham in there as a title contender?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Is basically, Spurs weren't title contenders at the start of the year. They've had a good run. But I think, they're only 1 point ahead of Villa. I don't think anyone would consider Villa title contenders.
But given this season where they are at and where they've started, why would you not try to push for a title, right? You're there. So
yeah. Look, I think obviously, look, you try and get as close to the title as possible. I think Spurs fans will be very happy with the top 3 finish, if I'm being honest, especially given the loss of Harry Kane. And dropping points will hurt Arsenal and Liverpool, but City did drop 2 points in the last few minutes. So yeah, look, I think both of you have points there. But the City team doesn't look as invincible.
Yeah, and guess who won this? Arsenal won this weekend, right?
Yeah, and Liverpool.
Comfortably. So they're a team that I know that they did drop points the weekend before, but they're a different team and they keep hanging around, right? And they keep winning. So I'm not so convinced that City doesn't look at this game as 2 drop points. I think they have to think about it that way because it's going to be close. Regardless, it's going to be close. And the way Arsenal is playing, it's going to be close.
I don't know how close it's going to be. That's what I'm trying to get at. You guys say that, but I don't think it's going to be that close because I think what's going to happen is, as it continues along, City is going to get these wins and City's going to get victories against these teams when they play them. And by the end of the season, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a healthy margin. That's just my take on it. But
look, we'll see. We have a great game coming up after the international break, Liverpool, Man City. So that'll be, a great test, right? There's your question. They've already dropped point. They did lost to Arsenal already. So that's the normally invincible thing isn't the same. Now, if they drop points against Liverpool as well, that'll be a draw against Chelsea, a loss to Arsenal, drop points against Liverpool. It's a different story.
And it's not a very good Chelsea team either. The Chelsea team is middling. I know they've had a couple of good results, but they've struggled for the rest of the season. So
I mean, we saw Arsenal draw Chelsea and thought, oh, that's, when we reacted to that, we reacted by saying Arsenal dropped some points, right? They had a bad first half. They came back, but this is a bad Chelsea team. Now, Man City does the same thing against a Chelsea team that looks better, yes, but we have to treat it the same way. We have to, I understand they're Man City, they're not Arsenal, but we can't criticize Arsenal and not criticize Man City.
Yeah, fair. Just a quick point on, what we saw on display this weekend. Now going into an international break, when we'll talk about England specifically, Gareth Southgate, seeing Raheem Sterling's performance, obviously Cole Palmer is an under 21 player, and you see these performances by these players. Do you think England is at a point now, probably for the first time in a long time, where they are the top pipeline in the world in terms of players and player potential?
Yeah, I think they're definitely among there. I don't know the under 21 players coming out from France and Spain, but England did win the U17 championship not too long ago, and some of those players are playing now.
It's almost, what I'm saying is almost, it's almost qualitative, right? More than from a quantitative perspective. I see the excitement around young, sometimes, or even not so young English talent coming out of the Premier League. And no offense to you, Bick, but English commentary and pundits tend to be very overly celebratory of
That's
English
the first time
players.
I'm hearing of it.
I mean, we do the same thing with American players. So anytime
it's
a half assist, we go crazy.
Yeah.
Fair. But my point is, now I'm actually seeing them and I'm actually like, these are actually good players, right? So.
And actually, like, surprisingly, I don't think they're as hyped up as they would have been a few years ago. I think, so look, I mean, there's definitely, the system has been working really well for England over the last few years. The professionalism in the game has gone through the roof. And I think, I don't know if England will win in the next 4 years, 10 years, 15 years, whatever. But they have enough talent to say, look, you can say with some sort of confidence they'll make the quarterfinals every time, and then who knows from there on in, right? I think what I would really like to see is us have a player like Kylian Mbappe or Haaland or someone else, a superstar, international superstar that comes through, because I think those are the players that win you World Cups and Euros.
I think you have one, and he's in Madrid right now. I mean,
that's true. Actually,
legitimately have one, and he's
that is true. Yeah. I don't know how I completely forgot about Bellingham, but I mean, but he needs to do that at the Euros. He needs to do that at the World Cup. Because that's supplemented by a squad of quality professionals. I think that's what makes great teams, and I think England's got all the ingredients for it. It's just a matter of actually performing now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and Jordan Henderson shouldn't be playing for the team anymore. That'll be the sign. He shouldn't be on the team anymore. And I mean, look at the talent you have. I mean, look at the Man City Chelsea game, and you think about all the protagonists of this game. You had old, Raheem Sterling, but of course Cole Palmer, Reece James. I mean, the list goes on and on. Phil Foden was excellent. So that I don't agree that they have the best pipeline in Europe. I think France is still the best pipeline of talent. And then certainly Spain has always been a pipeline. One of the things is that because the spotlight has always been on the Premier League, that we've always watched this league, now we're finally seeing young British talent being the protagonists in all these games for all these teams for the most part. And that's a change. Still, I think the Spanish system and the French system produce more young talent, but it's getting close. It's getting very close.
Yeah.
So we'll continue to watch that. Okay, so we'll finish with what I want to talk about this weekend. And we haven't talked about women's soccer in a while. So let's bring it back, because this weekend was the NWSL final, and a team called Gotham FC representing New York City, which is domestic.
That is correct. To go from worst in the league, and not just worst, horrible a year ago, and to win the title this year is an incredible turnaround.
Right.
Lynn Williams was nearly unplayable. Fantastic. They were the better team by far in this game. And a little shout out, unfortunately, to Megan Rapinoe, who has had the worst luck when it comes to career-ending moments. She's got some of the worst luck.
I think Megan Rapinoe has been has had some of the toughest times as a figure of the sport, and has also had some of the best times. And I think she's a very judged individual. And I think when you put yourself out like that in the public, and given some of the causes she's supported and what she's done for the national team in the past, and being a World Cup winner and such a stalwart for the team, you're naturally going to get haters and you're going to get supporters. And I think more so than any other figure in women's sports, she's had this. So during the highs, when she won the World Cup, I think she deserved all the accolades and all that kind of stuff. It's just unfortunate now that the last two things that she's going to be, I wouldn't say remembered for, because she's going to be remembered for what she's done for the game and, for women's sport and for the World Cup wins. But she ends on a missed penalty in the World Cup and an injury and her team losing. It's just an unfortunate end to someone that's been so influential for women's soccer.
But, endings are never really that good. And they generally tend to be pretty sort of not tragic, but they tend to be anticlimactic in a lot of ways. It's very rare that you have a messy moment, winning the World Cup in your final World Cup. For the most part, most players retire in circumstances that aren't great, right? Leaving the club, leaving their hometown club to go play a year at a smaller club because they're no longer wanted, leaving to the US to go play a couple of years. I mean, the end of career.
You're talking about Steven Gerrard?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Steven Gerrard, remember, he had that moment, right, at Liverpool to finally win the title, and he's there, and he has that slip against Chelsea, right? And he doesn't win, and then they end up winning it maybe, 2 years after he leaves, a year after he left. So, I mean, great players, it's very rare that you get a great player that has this great ending moment. And it's just part of playing for this long. It's part of, as you said, putting yourself out there day in and day out and being in those pressure moments. You're going to have some downs, and unfortunately at the end of your career, I think they tend to happen more because you're not at the same level that you once were. So honestly, it's not surprising in the sense that this is the way a lot of players go out, and it shouldn't tarnish anything that she's done because she's been incredible and she's been one of the best players in the world for the majority of her career. It's just didn't end the way you'd like it, but it doesn't really ever happen that way.
Yeah, I mean, if you'd asked her at the start of her career, like, it's gonna end like a bit like that, but you'll also pick up a couple of World Cups along the way and a few other trophies and be the face of women's football, both in the US and globally. Like, are you going to take that? I think she would. Yeah. So I think, look, these things happen. You can't really do much about it. And like, I think this is probably still a better ending than the World Cup because, she got injured. Like, what are you going to say? People get injured.
Yeah. That's fair. It was a fascinating game as a whole. Outside of that, 2-1, Gotham City won. There was a very interesting end to the game, and let's finish with this because I was thinking about this a lot. So, for those who didn't see the game, first of all, you guys should have watched it. But for those who didn't see it out there, what happened at the end of the game at 2-1 was essentially it was kind of like a half breakaway, I would say, and the Gotham FC goalkeeper comes out and basically touches the ball outside of the box. Her feet were still inside, but outside the box. And on the ensuing play, Rose Lavelle basically skied it. She had a chance to score. It would have to be a pretty decent.
It was a great chance.
Yeah,
it would have been the tying goal. It was a great chance. It was a completely empty net.
Yeah, completely empty net, and she should have scored. Now, then after that, it went to VAR review. The goalkeeper got a red card, and then a midfielder had to play in goal. So what I was thinking about was, what if Rose Lavelle had scored? Because if Rose Lavelle had scored, would they still have gone to VAR? I think they have to give the goalkeeper a red card anyway. And then you go 2-2 into extra time with Gotham City having a midfielder in goal. So I don't know. That's what I was thinking
It's
about.
a very interesting angle that you took. I don't think you can give a red card if you don't call that a foul. I mean, so you're saying in the scenario that Roosevelt scores on the rebound. So they play the advantage effectively.
Right.
And the goalie doesn't get sent, or they don't call the fact that the goalie touches the ball outside the box. The problem with that is I don't think you can give a red card then because you haven't actually called the infringement. So I think it would go on as normal. Just the game would be tied 2-2 and then you go to extra time. I'm not entirely sure.
I think we'll have to check the rules on that, because I know in some cases they let play go on because it's advantage, but then also it is a professional foul.
That's true.
So
a yellow card. That's true.
Yeah. Because the thing is, if she scores, so this is what I was trying to get, and like, yeah, I guess we would have to check the rules, but they would go to VAR anyway because all goals are reviewed, right? So they'd review it, and in that the VAR would see that. So would VAR call it or would they not call it?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. The thing I did notice was Roosevelt in that moment. So then what happened was there was an indirect a free kick on the edge of the box with a goalie who's a midfielder. Now, the one thing you have to try and do is put that on frame. Roosevelt tries, but the ball gets blocked by the wall.
Yeah.
The same scenario happened in a game in the Serie A where Olivier Giroud went into goal for AC Milan. And what was done correctly in that moment was the free kick was low and it was on goal. And I do wonder if Roosevelt should have tried to put it low, because I get that that's probably she was trying to put a perfect free kick. But if you put it low, it's likely you're going to get it on frame. Just somehow get this midfielder to have to try and make a save. And when you let the wall have an opportunity to block it, I feel like you negate all the one advantage you had. And then they had a throw in after that, and they tried like a high throw into the box. All you need to do is get the ball to feet and take a shot. I thought they misplayed that last 30 seconds. Somehow find a way to get a shot on goal. Did you think that was the right free kick?
I think it was too close to it as well. That's the issue, right? Because I mean, if you're shooting it low, you're expecting the wall to jump. So that's a risk as well. What if they don't?
Yeah,
I feel like it was just not far. Sometimes you need to be a bit far so you can actually have time to go up and down.
I was just thinking that to your point, if she'd scored that free kick, they probably would have won the game. Because can you imagine 30 minutes of extra time with the midfielder in goal?
Yeah. I mean, that would have been quite a disaster, especially since Gotham FC was playing such a high line. Like there was constant breakaways in that game, so there was bound to be something. But
I mean, that breakaway that led to the red card, that was an incredible through ball by Rose Lavelle.
Right.
So I think we're talking about all her misses, but like I think she displayed some really good skill before that, and that through ball was just amazing.
Oh, the one earlier on, the one-on-one. Yeah, that was a great ball. Yeah. She has a great through ball that actually should have been finished, and the goalie makes a great save. I mean, watching her play and watching Lynn Williams play so well for their respective clubs, it was really frustrating as a US fan, because you look at those two players and you're like, why didn't we see this level of performance in the World Cup? Roosevelt was suspended for the game against Sweden, but still, that's where you look at the manager and you think, how would these two players did the product on the field look like it did?
Yeah. I thought Midge Pierce had a good game too. So there was a lot of American talent in there that you see, and it bodes well for the redemption tour that probably the U.S. women will try to do. But it's just unfortunate, that didn't materialize this summer.
I mean, that brings us to a little mini point maybe we should address, which is the U.S. women's national team hired a coach, and unlike the men's team, they hired probably the best women's manager in the world. Emma Hayes, the Chelsea manager. So, and apparently, I don't know if this is true, but apparently Chelsea tried to triple her salary or double her salary to stop her from going to manage the US. So it's a big time move for the US. Not the kind of move that the men's team has made, but maybe it's a topic for another day.
It's a burgeoning rivalry, Vic. It's going to be US women versus England women. That's the next big Brazil Argentina, so.
Yeah, should be fun. I mean, either way, England wins, right? You either have an English manager winning or an English team. So,
I'm sure the country feels that as well. Like, we got an English manager winning.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
You've got to take your wins where you can. I didn't realize he was an England fan.
Yeah. How's the England cricket team doing, by the way, Brick?
They have been absolutely horrendous in the World Cup.
I know I've been
yeah.
sarcastic,
but listen, the thing is, you know what? As England cricket has just gone through ups and downs, like it's never a dull moment. So they won the last one. They won the last T20 World Cup as well. So I'll take that.
That's one thing we have to give a lot of credit to England sporting as a whole. And let's take it to soccer. It's there's never a dull moment. They've given us hours and hours and hours of entertainment, whether that's missing big penalties, whatever it is. They never cease to entertain us, and that we have to give them some credit. Either the butt of the jokes, or they're the ones winning or making the joke. I mean, actually, they haven't been the ones winning.
Yeah, they haven't really won. But there's a lot of tragedy and comedy. Lots of good moments.
Yes, you're right. Tears and laughs.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, you know, it's very, very nice of the English to invent sports and then be crap at them, so everyone else can enjoy them.
I'm sure that was their goal in mind when they did that. But well, cool. We have an international week coming up, so we won't be doing this segment next week. But a lot of exciting matches coming up from the week ahead. So we will bring you the best of those, some previews, some recaps, all the fun stuff that's going on. And I will leave us with that. Any final notes before we sign off? No?
I did want to say that we talked about Wolves Tottenham, a big day for Korean soccer. On the one hand, you had Sun against Swang, two big players for both their teams. So a big moment for Asian soccer, specifically for Korean soccer. Something I thought about but didn't mention. So let's give Korea some credit for really carrying Asian soccer. Japan as well, very, very good now, but it's a big moment to see two big players in the Premier League.
Vic, anything? No,
nothing. Just just keep watching the beautiful game.
He took what I was going to say, man. First he makes me eat meat pies, then he does it. No. Yes, as always, keep watching the beautiful game and have fun. Enjoy international break.